Welcome to the news. As the fuel crisis continues for a third day, the issue dominated debate in Parliament today.
Due to the fuel crisis, many parliamentarians have found it difficult to reach Parliament. Please make arrangements for them to come to Parliament. This is a serious issue. If you, the Speaker, don't have fuel in your car, how do you expect the people to have fuel in their vehicles? Figure out a way to come out of this crisis. Don't yell for no reason. You are already in trouble. This is the way of coming out of this situation with the help of Captain Cool.
A cabinet decision dating back to 2012 says purchases must be made via long-term tenders and not spot tenders. You are aware, tenders were called and an institution with 33 vessels was selected. Approval was given for these 3 tenders following cabinet approval. However, you have called in 5 vessels using the spot tender process rather than following the aforementioned process. There is 1 vessel from the CPC which is delayed and another that arrives following a spot tender. If you compare the long-term tender purchases with spot tender purchases, an excess of $38.1 million has been spent. The existing stock is sufficient to last for another 2 weeks or 18 days. There are 99 tanks in the China Harbour area in Trincomalee. In 2003, under the present Prime Minister, they were given to LIOC for a period of 35 years. As there was no proper tax system entered into during the 6-month period from the 1st of March 2003, they are currently using the premises illegally. Though we have 99 fuel tanks in Trincomalee, we utilize only 8. Even after 14 years since the 2003 agreement was signed, the other fuel tanks were never subject to any renovations. For more than 14 years, the tanks are rusting under their administration. In April 2016, the cabinet decided to hand over 10 fuel tanks to your ministry. Even when such a decision was made, on the 6th of June 2016, the Prime Minister presents a cabinet proposal to change the previous cabinet decision to take over 10 fuel tanks which were under IOC. Therefore, Honourable Speaker, the shortages in storage terminals have turned out to be a serious issue. IOC and CPC both store their fuel supplies with CPS. 1/3 of that is owned by IOC. It is true that IOC did not bring in their vessel to port when it was their turn. However, the second serious issue is that we do not have sufficient storage space. Last week there was a sudden breakdown at the refinery. This has made the present situation even more worse. In 2007, when the Umayyad project was launched, the Prime Minister of Iran arrived in the country, laid the foundation stone at the Sabukaskandu oil refinery premises. Thereafter, offices were set up and lands were selected. Over 1,000 million rupees has been spent by the CPC for this initiative. However, no renovation had taken place in the oil refinery. A reasonable question raised by the trade unions is LIOC is arbitrarily breaking its promises, breaching rules and not bringing in their supply of fuel. The trade unions say LIOC is taking advantage of the crisis that has arisen in an attempt to bring in substandard fuel. The CPC suffered a loss because of petrol. IOC made frequent requests to raise prices. However, the government did not allow to raise the prices. IOC made attempts to withdraw from the sale of petrol. If an IOC supply vessel was rejected, it is their duty to bring in another vessel. However, their vessel with 16,500 metric tons of petrol was turned back. What was done to that? There is another 5,500 metric tons of diesel, yet they are substandard. If this stock of petrol is to be purchased, they want us to purchase the substandard diesel as well. I have mentioned it to you. Can IOC reject fuel vessels as they please? What form of administration is followed? What measures have been adopted? Why are there no reserve stocks in the country at a time when a crisis arises and the people are set into panic? What is the process followed to maintain reserve stocks? For how long will these stocks last? What measures have been taken on the company that did not supply fuel? What regulations have been adopted? Why isn't the company selected via a tender process being allowed to import fuel? Why isn't the Sabukaskandu oil refinery being renovated? Finally, I wish to know what measures have the government adopted to prevent such a situation from arising again.
සපුගස්කන්ද පිරිපහදු අලුත් වැඩිය කිරීමට පියවර නොගන්නේ මන්ද 6 ඉදිරියේදී මෙවැනි තත්ත්වයක් උදා වීම වැළැක්වීම වෙනුවෙන් ආණ්ඩුව ගෙන තිබෙන පියවර මොනවද කියලා ගරු කතානායකතුමා දැනගන්න කැමතියි.
පළමුවෙන්ම 2003 මේ ගිවිසුම ඇතුල් වෙන අවස්ථාවේදී
When this agreement was reached in 2003, the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation had not made any use of it. They did not have the power to do so, which is why it was decided to give it to an outside party. We first asked India. If not, we can get applications from other companies. But India agreed and we signed the agreement. We were to fully implement it, but the government changed. So this has been postponed since then. There were proposals from the government of both countries to make certain amendments. I cannot bear responsibility for that. But if our government was in power at the time, this would have been repaired and completed. The Ceylon Petroleum Corporation has no money. It still has a massive debt to pay. Furthermore, there is going to be another oil refinery to be constructed in Hambantota by China. I think you too can recall that Iran agreed to build our refinery, but due to the row between Iran and the United States, all dealings with Iran stopped. Our tea exports to Iran and their fundings to the Umm oil stopped. So we could not complete these activities. In the midst of this, China had requested to provide us with an oil refinery. Trade unions were against this during discussion stages. It is the committee that decides whether or not to purchase oil. When the committee rejects it, either the CPC or LIOC rejects them. The minister will explain what happened to the shipment and why it got delayed. We have decided to look into this matter and ascertain who is accountable.
ඇයි මේක ප්‍රමාදුනේ කියලා එමෙතුමා කරුණු කියයි අපි තීරණය කරලා තියෙන ඒ ගැන හොයලා බලලා වගේ යුතු කවුද කියලා දැනගන්න.
අපි අනුර දිසානායක මහත්මයා කිව්වා ස්පොට් ටෙන්ඩර් එකකින් ගෙනාවා කියලා.
MP Anura Disanayake said it was purchased through a spot tender. I reject that statement because this oil was brought under the normal procedure. The LIOC brought in a shipment to this country on the 17th of October. The cargo was tested twice, and because it was rejected both times, we decided not to accept the cargo.
දෙපාරම ප්‍රතික්ෂේප වෙච්ච හින්දා අපි තීරණයක් කරා ඒ නැව අපි බාර ගන්න බෑ කියලා. ඒක ප්‍රතික්ෂේප වුණාට පස්සේ අපි අපිට එන්න තිබුණ නැවක්.
After this shipment was rejected, a shipment brought in by the CPC was scheduled to arrive by the 2nd or the 3rd. Usually, Honourable Speaker, it takes about a day and a half or two at most for the fuel to be unloaded into the terminal. But unfortunately, there has been a delay of 7 days to date. With the current position of the ship, it is set to reach Colombo by tomorrow night, and by the 9th, we will be able to distribute fuel as per usual. We have a massive issue, Honourable Speaker. I requested the President and the Prime Minister at the Cabinet meeting today, once this issue is resolved, to appoint a special team to investigate this matter because a series of events are difficult to even imagine. During the same period, the 30th and the 31st, our refineries stopped functioning. Moreover, our computer systems to distribute the fuel also stops functioning. When you link these incidents with one another, they are not ordinary incidents.
Computer system එකත් පැය ගානකට නවතිනවා. මේ සිද්ධීන් එකට එක සම්බන්ධ වෙනකොට මේක සාමාන්‍ය සිදුවීම් නෙමෙයි.
Moreover, this ship was stopped midway for 10 hours for bunkering. So this shipment is delayed today due to all of these events.
එකට නවත්තනවා. ඉතින් මෙවැනි සිදුවීම් රාශියක් එක තමයි මේ අද මේ නව ප්‍රමාද වෙලා තියෙන්නේ. අද වෙනකොට දිනකට අපිට අවශ්‍යයි පෙට්‍රල් 2500ක්
2,500 metric tons of petrol is needed for a day, and we have ordered for 3,000 metric tons to be distributed today. I discussed this matter in Cabinet as well. One SMS created massive panic in the country. Even we received this text message. As a result, the demand of 2,500 metric tons had increased to 4,700 metric tons by yesterday and today. So when the shipment arrives tomorrow night, the issue will return to normalcy by Friday.
සාමාන්‍ය තත්ත්වයකට පත් කරන්න.
9 නැත්තම් 10 බලාපොරොත්තු.
We are expecting an oil shipment from India on the 9th or the 10th. So there will be 2 shipments. We saw there were some who had to stay in queues for 3 to 4 hours. I think some of them even scolded me while passing by. But we are aware of the inconvenience caused and we regret it.
පහු කරලා යන ගමන් අපි කොහොමත් අපි දන්නවා එතන අපහසුතාවය ඒ ගැන අපි කනගාටු වෙනවා.
පෙට්‍රෝලියම් එකේ නියෝගයක් මත
Following a directive from the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation, fuel is not released to those who bring small barrels or other containers. Some vehicles are stalled at home or on the roads because their tanks are empty. So those people will have to use a container to collect fuel and return to their vehicles. An issue has arisen because of the situation. I request you to pay attention to this matter and do the needful changes.
වෙනසක් කරන්න කියලා ඉල්ලනවා. රාජ්‍ය කතානායකතුමා මේ රටේ වැදගත් ප්‍රශ්නයන්නේ ඇමතිතුමා කැමති එකට උත්තර දෙන්න.
එතකොට මම මේ ස්ථාවරනෝග මම කියන්නේ ඊට පස්සේ
මම කතා කරනකොට ස්ථාවර නියෝග.
ජනතාවට මෙතන බෑ IOC ගැන. ඒකයි ඒකට ප්‍රධාන හේතුව.
කැමති අවුල්
මම අහන්න දෙන්න කතා.
හරි ගරු කතානායකතුමනි
Honourable Speaker, the Minister has been permitted to respond to my questions. 20% of the country's petroleum market was sold to IOC when you were the subject minister. The Prime Minister was the Prime Minister back then as well. So we are today paying for those sins. Speaking to reporters earlier, you said you had massive political pressure to accept the substandard fuel from the IOC. I believe if you are a minister with a backbone, you will reveal that political force.
In your response, you said the system you are following now is the one that existed before. A new system was not introduced. This situation has arisen solely because of the shortcomings in that system. This system, with many shortcomings, is being enacted under the conditions mentioned in the agreement reached with IOC and has resulted in this issue. Please also say the Speaker of this House must be held responsible for this. It was a cabinet decision back then. I was not in cabinet at that time. You must withdraw your statement. Please withdraw your statement because it is wrong.
I was a Prime Minister and you were the Minister. Nevertheless, it was a cabinet decision reached after we had discussions with Indian Prime Minister Vajpayee. I have no issue with LIOC staying here. You may have an issue with that. What I say is this. If this was not suitable, why didn't you cancel it during the presidency of Mahinda Rajapaksa and send them back?
MP Nanayakkara, you will have to withdraw your statement. You cannot point the finger at one person for cabinet decisions. It is wrong to make allegations against the Speaker of Parliament. I said you need to be held responsible for this. It is wrong. I must withdraw that statement because now you are the Speaker. I am speaking of the minister named Karu Jayasuriya. Please withdraw that statement. At that time, the minister did not present the proposal. It was done by the cabinet. Those are cabinet decisions. Withdraw it or I will remove that statement. You have fallen to such a low level, haven't you?
We
have decided not to issue fuel for cans and bottles. There is a business racket that is taking place. Some purchase fuel to cans and bottles from filling stations and sell it off at higher prices elsewhere. That created another issue. Your argument is fair. There is an issue if there is no fuel in the vehicle at home. However, we made this decision thinking about the coming days because there is a business racket that is in operation and we need to move ahead.
If these two vessels do not reach port at the anticipated time period, what issue will arise?
We are monitoring the situation. The vessel that was supposed to reach our shores at 11 p.m. tomorrow is now due to arrive at 9 p.m. We obtained data via satellites and the harbour masters. If that vessel reaches our shores by the 9th, we will be able to commence distribution to restore normalcy.
Honourable Speaker, I raised two questions. He only answered one question. Please ask him to respond to the other. You said nothing about political forces.
I have responded accordingly. Please let me speak, Honourable Member. Please be seated. I can state with responsibility, I will not allow anything bad to happen to this country. No matter who asks to release the stock of oil, I will not do it as the Minister and I do not mind being sent home. The President or the Prime Minister has not pressurized me to release the stocks.
On to other local stories now. Minister of Agriculture Duminda Disanayake spoke of discussions on the petrol crisis in Cabinet today and the lack of progress since he was Deputy Minister of Petroleum.
When Iranian President arrived in the country, I was the Deputy Minister of Petroleum. We went out of our way to lay the foundation stone at the refinery to further develop it. So how long ago was this? So there has been no development in the most essential areas of our country over the recent past. We have to admit that. Yes, that was our government, but if such development had not taken place, we wouldn't have faced the situation we are facing today. So there has been a shortcoming on someone's part. Today as a national government, we possess the good things done in the past, and as for the things which were not done, they have been added to the list of development activities of the current president, which we have to do as well. Minister Arjuna Ranatunga spoke on this matter during the cabinet meeting today, where he made a request to investigate the delay in the shipment and also to ascertain if there was an issue in placing the order as well. The President was in favour of his response and appointed Ministers Patali Champika Ranaveka, Andhra Priyadashanayapa, Sara Tamanugama and Arjuna Ranatunga to provide the immediate solution to this issue. And the immediate solution is that we will be getting down an oil shipment by tomorrow which should ease the petrol crisis in the country.
Despite reports that fuel would be available today, long queues were seen at petrol stations around the country. Newsfirst's Joel Outscoon reported from central Colombo earlier today.
Well, actually nearly 2 hours. I came here right around 4 o'clock, but now it's almost 6 o'clock, and I think I might have to wait another nearly half an hour or so for me to pump fuel. So this is really frustrating actually. I think the government or whoever has to do something about it before people gets, mad about it. Yeah, that's my opinion.
Well, that's the frustration voiced just by one Sri Lankan this evening. Well, how many more are voicing their frustration today? How many more are lined up in queues just with some sign of hope that their fuel tanks will be filled up? It's not the first day. This shortage of fuel has been continuing for the 5th consecutive day today, and we at News First have an in-depth report lined up just for you on this petrol shortage.
We only got one load of the 92 type, which consists of 6,600 litres. We are also inconvenienced by this, just like the general public. We received 92 petrol, diesel and super diesel. That will be sufficient only for 2 hours. We received 13,200 litres. This will be sufficient for like 5 hours.
Several fuel bouses were seen leaving the Kolonnawa, Muthurajawala and Sapugaskanda oil refineries. However, majority of the filling stations of the Lanka Indian Oil Corporation remain closed. Issuing a media release, Lanka IOC says it caters to only 16% of the Sri Lankan market and that LOIC has a buffer stock of 3,500 metric tons.
Also, because it is a common thing, the CPSTL has to issue the product, Kolonnawa depot. You ask CPSTL people, CPSTL Kolonnawa, why they are not releasing supplies. They have been issuing, that's why we were selling. They may be issuing today, they have promised they will issue today also. They have been issuing some quantity every day. That's why we were selling. It is a Colombo, we don't have any depot. Supplies are coming from CPSTL only.
Metric ton. Our daily issue is 2,500 metric tons of petrol. However, we have exceeded 2,500 and are close to 3,000 metric tons. This is how we have been working for the past few days. We anticipate things to ease out in the coming days and for the queues to end. This is, however, a huge issue as we are issuing petrol in excess of the daily budgeted average. All petrol stations are being provided with petrol, so technically there should not be any petrol shed that does not have petrol to dispense. Like IOC, we too are supplying all petrol stations with fuel. However, this is a big problem. The storage of fuel belonging to IOC and CPETCO takes place in a common storage facility and is dispensed according to the requirements of each company. Whenever IOC requires excess fuel, they obtain same from this facility, and similarly when we require excess stocks of petrol, we obtain these stocks from this facility, as all transactions are commercial in nature.
The Lanka Indian Oil Corporation says attempts by some to blame LIOC for causing the shortage are factually incorrect. It adds that the ownership of the product on the rejected ship remains with French multinational oil company Total. Providing an explanation, LOIC says as replacement cargo would have taken at least 25 to 30 days, Total offered to remove the particles through filtration process, which is a common industry practice, in order to enable expedited delivery by the 3rd or the 4th of November 2017 to manage the present crisis. LOIC says for reasons unknown, this proposal was not acceptable to CPC officials. The release says though LOIC had sufficient buffer stocks in order to assist CPC, whose shipment has been delayed, the company took measures to organize an emergency delivery in addition to the replacement delivery by MS Total. This ship, according to LIOC, is expected to reach Sri Lanka by the 10th of November. The responsibility of recalling the ship with the rejected consignment is vested with the French supplier MS Total. The petroleum trade unions continue to raise warnings that there are attempts to unload the rejected load of fuel at Trincomalee.
CEO of the Colombo Shippers Academy, Rohan Masakorala, spoke on the fuel supply issues.
We are dependent on a regulator and a supplier together in a majority stakeholder of close to 80% of supplies of the country being supplied by one party, and we don't have that's called a free economy in energy, as although we are a free economy, we don't have that much of freedom in terms of managing fuel and other energy services. So we need good players, new international or local partners to come in and service the market and create more competition among the fuel sector, so that they make sure that these low quality things won't come, because when there is competition only these things improve.
Tempers are fraying as these pictures show an employee at the Kohwala filling station being attacked by an angry customer yesterday.
An argument between a person who had arrived at the filling station to pump fuel to his motorbike and an employee at the station had escalated into a brawl. Our correspondent said the motorcyclist, after pumping fuel to his motorbike, had also wanted fuel to be filled into a bottle. The brawl had broken out when the filling station employee had refused to do so. The employee sustained injuries in the incident. Police media spokesperson Espiruan Gunasekara said the filling station employee and motorcyclist had later resolved the issue among themselves. With growing tensions among the general public over the fuel crisis, measures have been taken to dispatch police officers at filling stations.
Police protection has been provided at filling stations at the request of its respective owners and officials. We mainly intend on maintaining law and order.
සමහර වෙලාවට ඒගොල්ලෝ මේ අර පොලිමේ ඉන්න මිනිස්සුන්ට අමතරව තවත් වාහන වලට සහයෝගයක් දක්වනවා කියලා පොඩි චෝදනාවක් තියෙනවා. නෑ ඒක වැරදි එහෙම කරන්න බෑ.
No, that is wrong. You cannot do that. But priority can be given to police vehicles in the event of an emergency. There are separate filling stations for police vehicles. Other than that, the police has to ensure that everyone is treated equally. In this instance, what happened was wrong.
However, the police media spokesperson said there has been no complaint lodged with regard to the incident which took place in Kaluthara yesterday. We also had footage on the conduct of a police officer in the Maharagama area yesterday. Is it absolutely necessary for a complaint to be lodged for an investigation on these incidents? The general public questions, if that is the case, what is the role of the police?